Traoré shocks the UN. His final warning to Netanyahu will leave you speechless. Imagine this moment. The world's most powerful leaders gathered in one room, cameras flashing, delegates sitting in tense silence, the United Nations Assembly, where words can start wars and words can bring peace. Today, something historic is about to happen, something no one expected. A young African leader walks to the podium. His name, Ibrahim Traoré. At just 35 years old, he has already shaken the foundations of African politics. But now he's about to shake the world. He's not here to beg. He's not here to play politics. He's here to send a message so strong, so unapologetic, that it will echo through the corridors of power for years to come. A message directed at one man, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Stay with us, because what happened inside that hall could change global politics forever. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this is the channel that brings you the real stories, the ones others are too afraid to tell. The United Nations General Assembly Hall is packed. The world is on edge. Tensions in the Middle East have reached a boiling point. The headlines are filled with tragedy, airstrikes, civilian deaths, cities in ruins. Israel, under Netanyahu's leadership, is at the center of it all. Some nations defend him, others condemn him. But the global mood? Frustration, anger, and for the African continent, a deep sense of injustice. For decades, Africa has watched global powers make decisions that affect millions of lives without a single African voice being truly heard. For decades, African nations have been sidelined, pressured, and ignored. Today, that changes. Because today, a young African steps up, not as a follower, not as a pawn, but as a voice of truth. Ibrahim Traoré didn't come to the UN to exchange pleasantries. He came to deliver a warning, a final warning. Before we dive into what he said, let's talk about the man behind the moment. Ibrahim Traoré is not your typical politician. He's a soldier, a patriot, a man who rose from the ranks of the military to lead his nation, Burkina Faso, through some of its darkest times. At just 35, he became the youngest head of state in the world. And unlike many before him, Traoré didn't rise to power to enrich himself. He came with a mission to free his country from foreign control, from corruption, and from the grip of neo-colonialism. When he speaks, young Africans listen. Why? Because he speaks their language, the language of pride, dignity, and sovereignty. He's not afraid to call out injustice. He's not afraid to challenge the status quo. And today, at the UN, he does just that. Picture it. The UN hall is silent. Delegates sit, waiting for the usual diplomatic language, the usual empty promises. But what they hear instead is fire. Traoré walks up to the podium, his uniform pressed, his eyes sharp. He adjusts the microphone and begins. Mr. Secretary General, distinguished delegates and leaders of the world, today I speak not only as the president of Burkina Faso, but as the voice of Africa, a continent that has been silent for too long. And I am here to say, enough. Enough of the hypocrisy, enough of the double standards, enough of a system that values some lives more than others. The room freezes. The translation booths go into overdrive. Delegates glance at each other. And then comes the line that no one saw coming. To the Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Netanyahu, this is our final warning. Africa will no longer be silent while innocent blood is spilled, while international law is trampled, while nations act as if they are above the law. You could hear a pin drop. Netanyahu shifts in his seat, his face tightening. Cameras zoom in. Journalists scramble for their pens. And Traoré continues. You speak of security. You speak of defense. But what about the security of the children buried under rubble? What about the defense of families who have lost everything? We cannot claim to defend human rights while turning a blind eye to human suffering. This is not just about Israel and Palestine. This is about the soul of humanity. Why does this matter so much? Because no African leader has spoken like this in decades. For too long, African nations have been treated as spectators in global politics, spoken to, not spoken with. Today, that narrative shatters. Traoré didn't just criticize, he named names. He drew a line in the sand. And he did it in the boldest possible way on the biggest stage in the world. His words weren't just for Netanyahu. They were for every power that thinks it can act without consequence. They were for every system that believes justice is optional. They were for Africa, and for every oppressed people everywhere. The room explodes in whispers. Some delegates clap softly, unsure if they should stand. Others sit frozen. The Arab bloc nods in approval. Western leaders exchange worried glances. And Netanyahu? His face says it all. Controlled anger masked behind a diplomatic smile. Within minutes, social media goes wild. Hashtags like Traoré UN speech, Africa speaks, and final warning start trending. Videos of the moment rack up millions of views in hours. Across Africa, celebrations erupt online. Finally, someone spoke the truth, one user writes. Africa is awake, another declares. To understand how big this is, you need to understand history. For decades, Africa has been the silent partner in world affairs. Colonized, exploited, divided, the continent has carried the weight of foreign powers' ambitions. From the scramble for Africa to modern-day economic exploitation, Africa's story has too often been written by outsiders. But that era is ending. Leaders like Ibrahim Traoré, Assimi Goïta in Mali, and others are changing the game. They are saying no to foreign bases, no to puppet governments, no to deals that benefit everyone except Africans. And today, that defiance reached the global stage in a way no one can ignore. For Africans watching this, it's more than politics. It's pride. It's dignity. For years, Africans have been told to wait, to compromise, to accept their place at the bottom of the global ladder. But not anymore. Today, a young African leader stood up and told the most powerful man in the Middle East, enough. And he did it without fear. This isn't just Traoré's fight, it's Africa's fight. It's a fight for respect, for equality, for the right to speak and be heard. And judging by the response, the message is clear. Africa will not be silent. Africa will not be ignored. So what now? Will this warning change Netanyahu's policies? Will it force the UN to act? Or will the world go back to business as usual? One thing is certain, the old order is cracking. Africa is rising, and leaders like Traoré are leading the charge. But this isn't just about diplomacy. It's about economics, security, and influence. If Africa stands united, it becomes unstoppable. A continent rich in resources, rich in culture, and rich in people who will no longer settle for crumbs. And that scares a lot of people. What do you think about Traoré's bold stand? Do you agree with his message? Should Africa take a stronger position on global issues like this? Let us know below. Let us know in the comments below. If Yuga deserves respect, if you believe voices like Traoré's need to be heard, hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that matter. This is not just news. This is history. And you just witnessed a moment that could change everything. Stay tuned because the world is changing and Africa is leading the way.